And welcome back to the Survivor Angelica All Stars recap. We are here discussing episode 9, the final 8, which for some reason I guess I forgot that we were already down to 8. But it was definitely an episode. It's me, Coach Drew, joined always by DB. DB, how are we holding up, man?
We are blessed, my friend. We're here. We get to talk Survivor. So let's do it. I'm ready.
And we've got the draft on mute on both ends. So I
Yep.
can't wait to get out of here and see what the Packers are doing. Hopefully something good. We're also joined by the boot of the episode and in a spot where I was trying to figure out why there was so much time left, and that was why. We're joined by Taylor. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited to dive into this season and talk about some things that might not have been on camera.
Okay. So I guess we'll just start from we'll start right before this episode then. Everything dealing with the idol this season. Who has it? Who's keeping it quiet? Who's keeping it quiet for who? From your perspective, because we do get your point of view on that a lot. From your perspective, at what point did everyone find out?
I think at this point that there was still like a little bit of doubt. People still weren't 100% sure if it was me or Alan that had the idol. And yeah, I think it's kind of been going back and forth, and seeing it back, a lot of people saying that they thought I had it. I think I might have thought I was a little bit more low about it, or people believed me more than Alan. So yeah, but I think people aren't 100% sure, and since I went out with it, it still could cause some chaos, maybe not.
DB, I think that what Taylor did do a good job of, and I feel like a lot of people in the season have done the same thing, is because it's an all-star season, everyone has, whether it's how they performed in this game or any other game, they have this, the shine on them, I guess. And I feel like Taylor, I mean, who says it? I think Alan says it on the revote, like, it's crazy that she is still here. Let's do something about it. For you, if you didn't know anything about, but just specifically Taylor, and you hear all these other people saying, oh, she's this, she's that, what would your ideal, situation be as far as attacking or working with her?
I mean, if you're hearing all that, I think that's the person I want to try to work with. You're going to have some insulation. You're going to have a little bit of a shield right there. I mean, she's going to draw attention, which clearly, Taylor, you did. What I'm just baffled at is how masterfully you were able to hold the idol and have heat, but not really garner a lot of votes in the process until we hit this merge. And then it was like, oh yeah, there's Taylor. Like, what are we going to do? And even still up to this episode, it took some luck for you to be out, which is unbelievable. I mean, there's a scenario where you're still in this game and we're getting to watch you in a different episode next week. But unfortunately, the mechanic of the game didn't allow for that to happen.
Yeah.
And what else had to piggyback off that is, yes, and also people, it's somehow they realized this episode, or like in this moment, oh yeah, this jury's going to be very Taylor friendly. You probably shouldn't have voted them all out back to back, basically. And so that's, as we start the episode, I think we get everyone's point of view on the jury and how they plan on managing the jury. And it seems like almost universally it's like, oh, well, Taylor has to be there because we can't let her sit at the end, and also Sandra maybe. So Angela lays out the plan that we actually see, and then everyone else lays out the plan that we, the red herring of everyone thinks it's going to be a split vote between Taylor and Sandra, but it's actually going to be a split vote on Taylor and Alan. Because we're learning this as like basically a cold open, when do you find out that this is, because you say that you did a good job of like changing things around, so I'm assuming you knew this was the plan for a while. How did that kind of go about?
Yeah. So first thing is when I went on the journey and I ended up losing my vote, right after me and Casey came out of the cabin, I was like, "Oh my god, can we tell them this?" Like I made up some other story because obviously I didn't want to go back when I had just been kind of battling the last few rounds. I did not want to go back and be like, "Hey guys, I lost my vote." And obviously Casey was working on the complete other side of the game. Like I know him from playing Bloomington, and I don't expect anybody to just drop what they've been working on in a game and just work with me because you know me. Like that's not what I thought was going to happen, but Casey just was like, "No, I'm not telling them that. I don't want to lie." And I was like, "Okay, cool, sick." So then we go back to camp, and then um, I find out right away basically that my name has been out there, which I'm not surprised. I kind of knew it was going to be out there anyways. I had people coming up to me and telling me it's going to be split between you and Sandra. Um, I specifically remember having a conversation with Troy about that. He came up and said that it's going to be split, but he didn't want to vote for me. But he just wanted to know, or wanted me to know. And then Alan also had a conversation with me, like telling me, "Hey, they're gonna split votes on you. You should play your idol." He told me that like at camp when we were talking, and then I'm pretty sure he also might have kind of hinted to me at tribal council as well. So I was very aware that my name was out there, and I would probably be getting the second most votes. But most of my strategizing that round was spent obviously with like James and Angela and Sandra. Um, since I had to tell them that I didn't have my vote because they were like, "Oh, well, we have enough votes to blindside Alan." I was like, "Well, actually, I don't have a vote." So that's kind of why everybody had to play their advantages in a certain way to get the numbers just right.
He's on mute.
Yeah, yes, I am on mute. DB, Alan says the famous last words that don't actually end up screwing him. He says, "I'm in a great spot," and kind of goes down the list of why he is in a great spot. And at this moment during the episode, obviously, I just thought this was a editing trick, I guess, to say, "Hey, yeah, Alan's getting voted out this episode," because it's like saying, "I'll be right back in a horror film." Do you think just in this moment, like not knowing what happens later, are you buying it? Are you buying that Alan's in a great spot?
I mean, sorta, but I still go back to the open where Angela is laying out the plan. And so in the back of my mind, as much as I hear Alan saying that, I do from a viewer standpoint go, I don't know. But I think in the game, if I'm aligned with Alan, then maybe, yeah, like I would believe that. Um, I do have a question, Taylor. You hear Angela in the cold open, she talks about almost sounding like she's taking the credit for putting this move in action against Allen. And then later you hear James basically do the same thing. Whose move is it? Or who is the mastermind behind this?
That's a good question. I feel like it might just be both of their perceptions that it was their idea, but they have like one brain cell when like in this game, like it seemed like they had been making moves with each other. I didn't realize how close they were when I was there, but yeah, seeing it back, like you can tell that they probably talked about this ahead of time. So I don't know maybe who said it first, but it was definitely both of them.
I want to quickly go back to the journey because I think you and I want to say six other or five other people say, "Yeah, I want to go. I haven't been on one, whatever." And so we decide we're going to do a rock draw. Ends up being you and Casey. For you, because you basically did go back and forth that entire time. What were you kind of, or did they tell you beforehand what the advantage disadvantage was going to be, and if not, what were you kind of hoping that advantage would be?
It basically just said like if you go in there, there's going to be a risk. It didn't like tell you you're going to either lose or get an extra vote. I assumed it was probably going to be like steal a vote, block a vote, extra vote, no vote, something like that. I'm also not the biggest Survivor super fan, so I really have a hard time trying to guess what an advantage is going to be or playing it correctly. So, yeah, I was just willing to risk it because all of my allies almost had just been voted out back to back. So I already felt cornered. So I was like, you know what? I already feel like I'm kind of low man on the totem pole. I just was like, I need to go risk. If I'm in a bad spot, I already was in a bad spot. So, maybe something good could come out of this. So I felt like it was obviously I was going to go in and do it.
When you went in to do that, obviously there's a risk and reward that goes with that. But also did you know that you were getting a lot of heat prior to going on that? And if you did, was there any concern that not being back at camp and going on this journey was going to put you at a disadvantage as far as the social part and knowledge of what's going on and what's being talked about?
I don't know if I necessarily had confirmation that my name was already out there, but I kind of just got the vibe. After John and Rachel went out, I kind of knew that I was going to be one of the next targets, and I knew since the first round of the game, my name has been floating out there because of the idol. So I didn't really need confirmation, but I knew it was going to be happening any round now. But I also knew that I had been denying having the idol, obviously, this whole time. So I didn't want to play it unless I'm 100% sure, because I think that would have just lost any last shred of trust that somebody had in me. So I kind of just had to see if I could get something else to work with besides the idol.
We get to the immunity challenge, and it's basically trivia on the game, and y'all have to run out and find the name, if I'm not mistaken. What happened with Alan and Pride and y'all too? What was that whole thing about?
So Alan had a strategy that was kind of outside of the box that maybe the production didn't necessarily think about. So he went out and was trying to find at least probably one of everybody's names. So he kind of had a stash. I think the discrepancy really happened because once everybody was back, he hadn't gone there to submit his answer. And so we all started revealing our answer. So basically he had time to find the right answer. So if somebody was wrong, he necessarily didn't have the right answer already. So he could have just found it. So I think that was kind of where the confusion was at. But I have seen in other LRGs where people do that similar type of strategy. So not that it was wrong. I thought it was just confusing. Doesn't he have to at least have an answer before we start showing ours? I think that's where it went wrong. But yeah, the strategy I've seen before. So that was a smart thing to do. And no one else thought so.
All the yelling is what I guess confused me. It's why is everyone arguing about this? I don't know what's going on, but it seems, obviously, with that clarification, what we kind of see after that initial moment, and there was that moment where Alan and somebody from production kind of say, "Oh yeah, we're not being aggressive. We're just talking it out." And OCHAV is a BB challenge. People do collect and hoard answers. It was a legal move. Yes. In this moment and during this challenge, I know that your name is out there and all of that. Do you feel like this is do or die, despite having an idol? Do you feel like I need to do this now, or I think I can get people to still side with me and I might not even have to win or play an idol?
I feel like it definitely, I'm maybe not 100% needed it, but it was kind of to that point where I was like, yeah, I really need to win immunity. Except I have really bad, I can't remember anything that happens in a game. My memory is super bad when it comes to challenges like that. So going to the challenge, I'm like, wow, I could really use immunity right now. And then I get there and I'm like, well, never mind. So yeah, I definitely would have thought I needed it, but obviously with how the votes went and I was on kind of the in part of the vote, I only basically had, I felt one path left. because I have been kind of like burned by mostly everybody at this point. So yeah, I definitely thought I needed that one.
We obviously don't see any of the strategizing here, and I know you've kind of talked about a little bit of what happened. What are some of the big pieces that we missed that we weren't shown? Because even you brought up to Culp, everything dealing with the key. So what kinds of things were going on in whatever amount of time you guys had?
I'd say one thing that wasn't shown that I remember very distinctly is I'm usually not very emotional at allergies, but I remember the round after John got voted out, I was crying a lot at camp, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" And then after Rachel went as well, I was upset again because I thought like Troy was somebody who I'd never played with, but I was really excited to. And I know him and John have worked well in the game, so I was like, "Oh my god, Troy, perfect! I have an in. I'm so excited to play with him." And then I felt like backstabbed immediately by him. And so right after I had been upset about John, then that happened, and that I feel like that was a lot of my memories of being at camp. Those few rounds was being upset, shedding some tears, and everybody trying to give me a hug and feel bad for me. But yeah, that was one thing that wasn't shown, and then another thing that wasn't shown, which I remember from this round, when Jordan was voted out, and she was like gathering her stuff. Getting ready to just like head out to the jury place, she came over and like handed me, there was like a little like shooter bottle but wine from Merge, and she like was giving it to me, but around it she had her beware advantage. And so I saw that and I was like, oh my god, I don't even know what it was, but I thought I had got something else. So I remember feeling like I had another extra layer, and I was so confused reading it, and I was like, wait, do I get another idol because I found this and it says if you do this task you get an idol? I was just being kind of dumb, to be honest, but that was something that happened for a hot second, and I didn't tell anyone about that. But yeah, it was her beware advantage, and then yeah, honestly, it was that round was a lot of us like trying to count votes, and with the extra votes and my not counting, it was like kind of just going in circles trying to make sure that we had the numbers, because I don't think they obviously wouldn't have wanted to vote Alan unless they were 100% sure that it was going to work. But yeah, and then I remember James also shared something in the group chat earlier about making sure him and Angela were on separate sides of the like Taylor and Sandra split, so that it would kind of like take away in an even amount. Mm-hmm. So that was something that wasn't shown as well. Yeah, I think that's about all I can remember from that time.
I mean, that's a lot.
So, yeah.
Well, and how much time did y'all have, roughly?
I think since it was already, obviously you don't really know what time it is out there, but at the challenge it was already dark, and I'm sure they wanted to wrap it up. So I don't think it could have been more than like 20, 25 minutes maybe. Yeah.
DB, we kind of go in here, and I don't forget that I don't forget the cold open. I don't forget that there is this plan. But the way, and if it might come to how people are acting and all of that, I'm like, damn, I think Taylor might actually go home here if she doesn't play her idol. And it does kind of feel like Alan thinks he's on the good end of this. For you, knowing now, we know the cold open, we know that first portion of the episode is just everyone talking about what their plan is. As Tribal is unfolding, what do you see the outcome being?
You know, in that moment, you start seeing some things happen inside Tribal, and you go, okay, well, it's clear the target is Taylor. And so at that point, like based on what I'm seeing at Tribal, I'm thinking, well, I don't know what happened with what Angela was throwing out there to us in the beginning, but clearly there wasn't enough votes or there wasn't enough movement. And so they're going to go after Taylor. And I thought, well, here's the chance. It's not even going to, I didn't even think the Sandra Taylor split was even going to matter. I thought it was going to be mostly Taylor at this point. But I don't know. And, maybe you can shed some light on this, Taylor. Did you feel as though that they were coming for you, or did you know that Alan was definitely the target?
I knew Alan was the target, but I also knew that all of them thought I was the target. So the only people that knew the real plan was me, Angela, Sandra, and James. So I was fully aware that outside of those people, everyone was gonna split it on me, but lean towards me. And like I said, even Alan came up to me. He was like, "You're the target. You need to play your idol." And then Troy also coming up to me and telling me "Oh, they're splitting it. Just so you know." So yeah, I was definitely aware of what the real plan was, and not having a vote, but knowing you're the target, and also knowing that Alan knows I have an idol and he's telling me to play it. It was super hard to just sit there and not vote and also not play my idol. So that was a very stressful round.
That's kind of, Drew, that's kind of the time where I knew something was up. If anybody wants to play an idol, now's your chance to play it, and nothing happens. So then I start going, okay, I got to watch more. Something's about to happen here.
The game is afoot. Taylor, what's up with the key thing with Culp? Because you do call him out on it. You call him out on it before the vote or maybe after the vote? I can't remember exactly when, but you call him out on it and say, "Oh, you're just trying to pander," all of this. Which it has to be before, because he goes into the voting confessional and says, "I'm trying to play aggressively," and I kind of just shit the bed with that. What was your goal, obviously, with calling him out in that moment? And also, can you go into detail about what had transpired between the two of you?
Yeah, so I believe it was on our walk to Tribal or right before we left to go to Tribal. Cole must have come up to me and been like, "Oh, hey, you're going to be a target. Here's a key." I wasn't thinking ahead oh, he's going to take this back from me. So I thought he was giving that to me. But the thing that is really the downfall is he could have taken my keys, which is fine. I did hand off the one key to Sandra. So it was kind of he didn't really know exactly where the keys were. And my confusion was, I thought he was able to take 2 keys, and he said he was taking 2 keys from me. I only had 1, so I thought he used it. He was wrong. He doesn't get another chance. I wasn't aware that he got to just oh, she only has 1. Well, let me pick a second option. So I think that's where I was confused. But Sandra being in on the plan, knowing that we're voting out Alan, she was supposed to take Alan's key. But she just kind of reacted to Culp taking away her key and taking it back. She was supposed to take Alan's key, which was obviously the right key. So that's the craziest part about all of this, is that she was supposed to take the key that would have saved my game. So, yeah, looking back on it, the whole key thing, it's just such a random chance. It sucks to have been able to make it through the round almost, and my whole game is just out on chance, and Sandra stole the wrong key. But I get it. I probably would have done something like that too, just impulse. Someone took something for you, you want to take it right back. She probably didn't even have the time to react in the correct way, because it was kind of at the last second. So,
comment? Anything? Nothing.
I don't know what she asked me, but it was definitely at the last second. The key got taken and she took it back. But I mean, going into it, if you know Alan's gonna be the vote, it only makes sense to take that. At least that's probably what I was thinking. I don't know. I guess we didn't talk about it clearly enough. But yeah, that whole key thing is crazy, and that's the type of twist that I hate to see, which is just something random that you can't really you can plan for it, but only to a certain extent. It's just that's just something so hard to plan around.
Culp says, I only disclosed my block of vote to Alan and Angela right before Tribal, thinking this would be a part of the plan to blindside Taylor.
But yeah, also when he said that he was going to be taking my key away, I was like, oh wow, I really might be cooked here. So I think I was still not 100% sure if I was going to play my idol or not. And then him taking my key, I think that's why I was like, well, just so you all know, he just gave me that key, because I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to go out, then let me at least drag his name through the mud a little bit.
And you do. And ultimately, Alan gets voted out in a split vote 4-2-2. And before he heads out, he gets to use the lockbox. And lo and behold, one of the biggest moves, I guess, of the season is immediately nullified, because basically this works as a super idol where you can play it after you've been voted out, and it goes to the people with the next highest votes, which are you and Sandra. What goes through your mind and through your body when you see that box open?
Oh man, I was pretty sure that whenever it opened, that's kind of what the twist was gonna be. But man, it sucked. like I said, having made it through the round without a vote, knowing I'm the target, and pulling off a blindside with these select few people that I could trust left in the game, man, it sucks seeing that happen. And obviously, it sucks going out knowing that I have an idol. And something also that wasn't shown, there was like a really long break in between when we had that second tribal that was just like right after, like when John and Zach went. We all were like spaced out in the woods along this long path, what felt like forever. And I was like laying in the grass trying to get this idol perfectly in my hair. Like I had it clipped up ready for like, okay, when I need it, I'm just gonna, have a big moment. All that was for nothing. So yeah, as soon as that box opened, my heart just sank.
DB, I know we've talked about this a lot this season when it comes to twists. And just from your point of view, fair or foul on this twist, how do you feel about this specific twist?
I mean, I don't like having the depends on who you ask. If you're Alan, you love this twist. If you're Taylor, you hate this twist. But I would rather that be, you have to have some type of chance or whatever to get that, as opposed to you get a super idol and it's in the game and everyone knows about it and you become so insulated because you have this thing that everyone knows you have. I would rather it be like Alan, had the opportunity to get it through this chance than, it being known and it being in the game. So I'm okay with it. And for an all-star season, I think you got to pull out some twists. You got to have some things like that. But it does suck when the move and everything was so masterfully done, and then it's all really for nothing.
Yeah.
And I do agree, as far as if you're going to have a super idol situation, this would be the way to go, because the alternative is you basically hold everyone hostage the entire game of like, oh yeah, you can do whatever you want. I'm just going to do this, and then I get to pick who goes home. At least in this situation, there is a little bit of, not even a little bit, there's all the randomness in the world. The box doesn't open and you go home. Now, I've never been a fan of the super idol as a concept, but like I said, if you're going to do it, this is probably the way to go about it, despite us being joined by Taylor here today.
Yeah, it sucks. I feel like in games that do have a super idol or something along those lines, being able to like get it as something like from one of the journeys maybe, or like finding a super idol, I feel like that's one thing. But yeah, it just everyone having a random key, it sucks. Just of course the one round where we pulled off this epic blindside, of course the same exact round was the same, the chance 1 in 12 or whatever keys that we had, of course it was that one.
And his hand is shaking as he's reading it, and I don't blame him. So yeah. We know now that it's going to be you or Sandra. Do you think you're done? Is there any way in your head that you make it out of this at this point?
No, I feel like at that point, since everyone was telling me like, "Oh, you're probably going to be the target," like ahead of time, and the fact that obviously my name had been thrown out there about this whole idol confusion the entire game, I kind of knew once it was tied that it was going to be me, and it sucks that you can't play your idol on the second, like the revote. So yeah.
It's frustrating, right? Because, and I know we've all said basically the same thing. It was such a great, and it's one big target targeting another big target, and that big target goes out, but not really. Obviously, with you gone and with what Alan just pulled, even though it was completely random, people, and this could be totally wrong, but I feel like people are going to just perceive that as like, oh my gosh, can you believe what Alan just pulled? It's going to be like, well, it was random, but because of how these games go, the perception is going to be, no, Alan did that, and it was all, this, that, and the other. As you go out, and then we do get you to see you interact with everyone on your way out. What are you feeling at this moment? Like, obviously, besides the "I can't believe I just got voted out" type thing, are you upset at anyone? Are you like, how are you feeling towards certain individuals that are left in the game?
I mean, it was kind of like, I feel like I remember being more angry than when I watched it back and I saw myself hug everyone. I was like, dang, I don't even remember doing that. I thought I was so pissed off. But yeah, I think at that point it was kind of like I just accepted defeat. But at the same time, like kind of what you were talking about, I think I was aware too. Some people kind of have a point of view where when something like that happens, like either a super idol or this type of twist or even like a battle back, sometimes people view the person coming back as, oh, well, you already got voted out, so like, how good really can you be? So I think that I've played games where people thought that. So those are kind of the perspectives that I was feeling at that moment.
We basically get an epilogue at the end. Oh, DB, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Colt in the comments kind of alludes to that. Like, this doesn't make Alan's target any smaller. Like, doing this kind of talks about, goes into what you said, Taylor, is like when people feel like you've been eliminated, but you have this ability to get back in the game, it almost creates this bitterness, and they're like, no, like you got to go. You've already been out of here once. Like, we got to do this again.
Yeah, people can view it both different ways, and I kind of get both sides of it. So,
we end the episode. I say that it's an epilogue. Like, it's an immunity challenge. Like, it is important to the grand scheme of the game, but I feel like because of how crazy that tribal just went, I was so emotionally, whatever that word means in this situation, checked out by the immunity challenge that it was just basically, okay, I'm going to watch this so I can know what to talk about coming to the end of this. But we get a memory challenge, and for what it's worth, like, James winning and having that emotional reaction at the end of it did bring me back in right at the end of the challenge. DB, at this point so we're what, 2 full days in?
Yeah, I think we were ending. What are we headed into the last day?
We're heading into the last day, and Casey is yawning his ass off for this whole episode, and we're tired and all this. I feel like this is the perfect challenge to do in this moment because everyone's running on fumes, and we're just going to see how much you can retain right now. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's a perfect time to do it. And, 2 days in, look, man, I'll be honest. I got a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I'm tired at night, but nowhere near like the mental fatigue that I had when I played last season. Just the grind of just thinking all the time. And then you layer this challenge in on top of that. Like, I would have been out. Like, I don't even think I would have got through the first round. Like, because I think everyone does what I probably do as I'm watching it. I'm trying to play it in my head with them, and I am terrible at this. So yeah, I will say it is awesome to see the roller coaster of the episode for James on this super high. We've got this plan. It's into effect. Oh, it's working. Boom, we got him. Oh shit, we don't got him. Now I'm losing Taylor, and now I've got another immunity challenge before I can even get food and go to bed. And he crushes it. I mean, it like him and Culp. Like I think Jason said it. This was the longest this challenge has ever been in history. So like, kudos to him. Like that's tough, especially this late in the game.
I couldn't remember to wear the immunity necklace. Oh, where EA. Okay. I was like, what is this? What are you trying to say to us? But managed to remember 8 pictures. James is legendary for 10. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was trying to read it in my head and it was not making sense. I was hoping. I feel like this answer is obvious, but maybe not. Taylor, what was your reception when you got to the jury?
Honestly, it wasn't as warm of a welcome as you would think. Because obviously John's my boyfriend and me and Rachel are like best friends. And me getting there and then they find out I had an idol, it was like felt like they were both a little bit mad at me. So but yeah, I was equally mad at myself for not playing it. So, after I got over that, got some food, we were so exhausted. It was so late in the day, so we kind of just all went to sleep and we kind of caught up in the morning and stuff. So yeah, it was a whirlwind when I got with the jury for sure. But it was also super nice because Angelica was the first game that I played ever, and then also it was like my 15th game. So once I got out, it was kind of cool. I got to catch up with the people that brought me into this community. So yeah, it was like kind of all over the place, but it was bittersweet for sure.
I do want to ask you that because you say you're not a Survivor super fan. Are you a Survivor fan? Period.
A little bit now. When I first played, I had never watched Survivor.
So then my question would be, how did you end up in the community?
It's very, very random, but my mom's friend who she watches Survivor with is the host Jason's like barber. And so like kind of she found out about it through him, got my mom to apply, and then they needed some alternate females the season that my mom played. And so she's like, "Oh, do you want to do this?" And I was like, "I guess. I don't really know. Like, sure." I grew up my whole life. She was always telling me I needed to be on. She was like, "Oh my God, you need to play Survivor," but I never watched it, so I didn't really care what she was talking about. But yeah, I got on the same season that she played, and we pretended to not know each other for half the game, and then we ended up going to the final 2 together, and it was so fun. And then, yeah, after the game was over, I just kind of like figured out, whoa, this is like all over the place. I had no idea. And yeah, so casually I watched a couple seasons. I've seen less than 10. This is like the second time I've ever been watching Survivor live. So I wasn't a fan. Now I think it's cool, but I'm definitely not a super fan. And when people can remember all of that, it's so impressive because I can't even remember my own game while I'm there. So yeah.
DB, do you have any final questions before I get to mine?
No, I asked a lot of questions tonight. I think I'm good. I'm good. Take us home.
Taylor, what was this experience like for you? Just overall, you coming back to do All Stars. Yeah, it didn't go the way that you ultimately wanted. But you got to play with, you said, your boyfriend and your best friend in the community. You go back to where it all started with your first game, and you said your 15th game here. What did this season mean for you?
It was crazy, honestly. Like over the past like 3 years or 4 years that I've played all these games, getting to know everybody, and then you show up to an all-star game, and then you're like, wait, everybody here, like 75% of them were my friends, and I'm like, you kind of know what you're setting yourself up for. So I just went in there, kind of wanted to just have fun. I knew I've been to Angelica every year since I played, besides one, so I knew it was going to be a great game. I was just there to have fun and obviously try my best. I knew it was going to be I knew everybody there was a great game player. So I kind of was ready for it to be a crazy weekend, and that it was.
And they knew you were a great game player. And I mean, since episode 1, that's basically all we heard besides you having the idol. It was like, oh, well, Taylor's scared. It's like, well, do something about it then. That's crazy that you're not.
No, don't do anything about it.
So that's gonna start to wrap things up for this one. We're at final 7. We're almost there. My new winner pick ever since my first 2 winner picks went home is still in Angela. I guess we'll see how much longer, if she doesn't get to the end, how much longer she stays. DB, where are we kind of at with you as far as winners?
I mean, Allen seems to have a target on his back. Culp, I feel like, is in a good spot, even though he's had some heat every now and then. But being in lockstep with Allen, I don't know how that's going to play out. But after watching this episode, if you're not a fan of James, like something's you need to get on that boat, because he's obviously making some moves and making things happen, and now he's sitting with immunity after a big challenge win, going into what I think is a crucial time to have immunity, is after a really long day and you're tired and you're ready to go to bed, and the last thing you want to do is start having conversations when you get back to camp about safety. So it's almost like he won it at a really good time.
Yeah, I think that especially ever since James started his revenge tour, but even the way that this episode ends with him winning immunity, going to that final day, I do think that does set him up fairly well. It could be like a Natalie Anderson type situation for those that understand that reference. But I can't change my pick. We locked on to Angela. We'll see how it happens. Taylor, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It sucks to see you here, but also it's surprising that we didn't see you here earlier because of how many people were saying we should probably do something about this. So I think that is a testament to how you play these games. I know that John is very high on you, as well as everyone else. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for tuning in. And we will see you guys next week.